David asked about the biologic dentistry. So I am really lucky in the sense that I've never had a cavity. I am 44 years old and thankfully have never had a cavity. And so for me, I've never really had to engage in any kind of like fillings and mercury fillings and things like that to, for my teeth. So, but I do know, and I can tell you from a functional medicine perspective as well, if you have mercury fillings, that is just a whole another can of worms. And it is recommended that you should get your mercury fillings out. And there's a very specific way to do it, and you've got to go to a dentist who practices holistic or biologic dentistry and get all those fillings taken out and things like that. Um, Unfortunately, my first few years I worked mainly with regular dentists, because I was not in the field of functional medicine. Now, the last 15 years, I have really focused on that, and I really try to be as holistic and natural as possible. I really tend to shy away from x-rays every year and things like that. I just tell them they don't need to do x-rays on me every year, especially since I don't have any cavities or things like that. But I do make ozone water sometimes, ozonated water, and I do use that to gargle a lot, or just gargle and flush my teeth and keep my teeth clean and stuff like that. So I can't speak to it too much just because I haven't had too much personal experience, but I do know that from a functional medicine perspective, it is highly, highly recommended to take your mercury fillings out. Try not to be on all the antibiotics that they'll put you on, but maybe go more towards a holistic dentistry approach. And then as far as stem cells treatments for chronic conditions, I will tell you, David, there was a point that I was so sick that I had really contemplated it. And that was right before my water only fast. At that point, I had been working on treating myself for over 5 years and I just wasn't getting better. And I had tried everything in the books. I've mentioned this in my previous lives. If you haven't watched them, please go out and watch them. I mentioned this in my previous lives about how I had tried every treatment option in the book. I had access in my functional medicine field. I had access to some of the most world-renowned functional medicine doctors and naturopathic doctors, and I just was having a hard time getting better. So I'd heard these wonders of stem cells treatments, and I know patients who've gone to like Mexico and Thailand, and one of the doctors that I work with also recommended for me to go to Thailand and get like a full body stem cell transplant and things like that. I really contemplated it, but I just didn't know enough about it, and it's just so expensive that I think after everything I had gone through and done for 5+ years, I just wasn't sure if that's something I could put myself through, put my family through. How would I, do that on a financial perspective? I've heard great stories about it, but I just didn't know. So for me, this is again, for me at that point, at the peak of my illness, I felt that my body should have the ability to heal itself. Why is it not healing itself? And so that's when I turned back to my roots. I come from a Ayurvedic background. My parents always practiced Ayurveda, and I just said, in our culture, for thousands and thousands of years, they have practiced water only fasting. And so for me, since stem cell transplant was or treatments were just so far away and so invasive and so expensive, and it would just take a lot out of my family, I just said, you know what? If I can do anything, I can fast for 6 days. So I originally set out to fast for 5 days, but I actually did 6 days, and I did 1 day of juicing. So, total 7 days. And I just said, you know what? It's been in our culture. I told my husband, please don't think I'm getting on the next fad of a treatment, because all he had seen for 5 years was just me doing treatment after treatment and trying to get better and trying to get better and chasing the next best thing and the next new thing out there and the next supplement out there. And I just said to my husband, look, don't think I'm getting on the next fad of a treatment. Fasting has been in our culture for thousands and thousands of centuries, and my uncles and aunts and my husband's uncles and aunts, they all practice fasting every year. It's a religious thing, but they practice extended day fasting. My husband's uncle, who is 92 years old, just did I think 3 years in a row or 4 years in a row, he's done 8-day water only fasting. We have a religious time in August, and my husband's uncle is 92, I believe, at this point, and for 4 years in a row, at this age, he's done the water only fasting. My mother-in-law did it. All of my side, my parents, my uncles and aunts, my cousins, everyone does it at this religious time. And so they say if you fast for 3 days, you can reset your entire immune system. And then if you fast for 7 days, you can really just clean up your immune system and all the cells in your body. And if you fast for 17 days, then you will regenerate an entirely new body with just organs are regenerated, everything is regenerated, your immune system, your GI system. Now, there's no way. I couldn't even fathom the idea of doing 2 days, let alone 5 days or 7 days. And again, this was all medically monitored when I did it, and I had an amazing physician monitor me the whole time. So, but anyways, to get back to your question, David, for me, I just felt that if I'm going to go do stem cells, then why can't I just water only fast and have my body regenerate and heal itself? And so that's what I did, and it was a game changer for me. It healed me about 40 to 50% right off the bat after those. Of course, I was very weak after those 7 days, and then, it took me another 2 weeks to kind of gain my energy back and things like that. But it was what started my trajectory of my healing. So to answer your question, have I done it? No. Did I consider it? Oh, absolutely. I considered it. I had considered everything in the books possible, and that was one of it. But thankfully, I didn't have to get to that point, and what I did I felt really helped me with my body, and so I can't talk anyone out of it. I don't know the positives or the negatives. I only know that people who've done it have done really well on it. I couldn't leave my family for a month. My kids were young and at the time, and my daughter's still pretty young, and it was just something that would just not have worked for me. So that's my spiel on stem cell treatments.